What's your crazy cats, and welcome to Dazzle Rebel Rides. Now, here I am at HBC Motorcycles and I'm riding the Chieftain Limited. Woo! Yes indeed, I finally got the chance to take the 2019 Chieftain Limited out for a half decent run in all of its Thunder Black Pearl glory. I mean, check out how much that paint pops in the sunlight. Now, although I have ridden this bike before, it's only been on short demo rides, so I jumped at the chance to get a few more miles under my belt. My mission, to answer two questions. One, what's wrong with the 2019 Chieftain Limited? Number two, is this the best bagger on the market? Right, okay, first impressions then, folks. Well, I love it. I love it. It's handling wise, it's so much lighter on the steering than my Chief Vintage. It really is. And a lot of that is thanks to the fact that it's on the touring platform, so it has the shorter rake on the front, the shorter wheelbase, so the narrower rake. But it's also got that 19-inch wheel up front, which really makes it a nice, easy, really manoeuvrable motorcycle. This is a 390 kilo bike, but sat up here right now, you just don't feel it at all. One of the big improvements with the 2017 bikes, I think it was onwards, was the switch gear. Now this cruise control on the right hand side is so much easier to set than mine, because with mine on the 2014, 15 and 16 models, you have a push a button in and then you got all your cruise control systems there. But this one, you literally push to arm it. You see the arms on the screen there, and either push left to set it, or if you've rolled off or stopped it, push right again to resume. And if you're actually rolling, it's just a simple case of left or right to increase or decrease speed. Absolutely simple, really logical, really easy to use. I love this cruise control, it's just so easy to use. And you can roll off, you don't need to pull the clutch in, you don't need to push the brake, you just roll the throttle forward and that disengages it. When you want to set it again, just click resume and it picks up. Okay, I have been told not to use sport mode, and that's because until it's run in, you really want to be keeping it on tour or standard. But I have been told I can use standard. Except the tour is essentially like the standard 2017 or 2014 through to 2017 map on the standard motorcycles. You know, you got the torque there, but it's a very smooth power delivery, very creamy. Throttle is nice and smooth, but I've been told standard. Let's turn it into standard. Roll off. This sharpens it up a little bit, makes it more like the stage 1. There we go. Let's change it to standard. Roll off, and I believe that changes it. And yeah, there is a definite change in throttle response when you change from tour to standard. They say it feels like the stage 1, and yeah, it does. It does. It has that extra little snap in the throttle, makes it a little bit lighter. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It just rolls around these corners. Oh, I love this bike. I fucking love this bike. So the difference between this and my Chief Vintage really is, this is a rider's bike. My Chief Vintage is a bit of a poser's bike, I have to admit that. It feels heavier. I love it to pieces and I will never sell it. But this bike, if you want to tour, you want to go out and ride hard, but you still want to look cool, this is the bike you want. Don't get me wrong, I can still chuck my Indian Chief Vintage around, but not like you can a Chieftain. It just loves these corners. absolutely loves them. Okay, let's be honest, the screen, yeah, this is in the highest position, and I'm getting some buffeting around my head at just under 50 mile an hour. There is a little bit of wind going around at the minute. We've got probably about a 10-15 mile an hour gusts at the moment, nothing too bad, but at 50 mile an hour I am getting a little bit of buffeting around my head and around my shoulders. You drop it down a bit more and you can hear the difference in noise there. The buffeting goes, but you do get a face full of air. See, right now on its lowest setting, that is directing wind right into my eyes. Raise that up a bit and I'm still getting buffeting, but it's not fantastic. Change the screen. To be fair, for me, that's the only fault I can find with the bike, is this screen. It's okay, it does a job, it's just not, for my 5'7" frame, the most ideal height. I mean, one thing I will actually say is my Chief Vintage actually feels more stable at speeds, and I think that's a mixture of the longer rake and wheelbase, and also the well, the heavier wheels, I suppose, because it's got the it's not got the cast wheels like this, it has the spoke wheels, and they are a bit heavier. This road's got a lot rougher since the last time I came down it, about 2 years ago. Right, let's take a walk around the bike then. So basically you've got your ride command system here, you've got your sat nav there, comm system there, so you can hook a headset on your phone up there via Bluetooth. You've got your tunes, which admittedly, there is someone here inside. Enough of that. If you push it again, you can select AM, weather radio. I'm not sure whether that works in the UK. Let's give it a try. No. Bluetooth audio or USB iPod, so you can actually stick your USB stick in there and play some tunes. Don't think we've got anything in there. Nope. And over here on your left, you've got, this is like your ride system, so you have these 3 screens that you can flip between by pushing it. These are completely customizable, so you can set them up yourself. So for example, you push the little cog down the bottom and you can have, say, your vehicle status up there, or on the left hand side, say your vehicle info. That automatically saves it. You have to have the engine off in order to change those, although you can run through these while the engine's running, and I believe you can slide across. Yep. So that's useful, very useful to have. My favourite is to have your sat nav on the right there and your vehicle control on the left. Gone through all these controls. You've got your screen up and down here. You've got your cruise control, which is really easy to use. You've got on the left here, you have your audio thing, so you can scroll between your information there. If you use this, you can zoom in and out when you've got the map showing, which is again quite a handy thing to do. And it's really that simple. You've got your little trigger on the top there that slides between the different modes. Nice clear layout, and if you want to get rid of all this, just push the middle button and you dulls it all down. You get a nice Indian head logo just down there. Brilliant, isn't it? Right. Drink of water and some photos. So to the specifics then, let's take a look at the stats. This bike has the 1811cc or 111 cubic inch Thunderstroke engine, and all you really need to know is it weighs as much as the Empire State Building but floats around the road like an Olympic ice skater. If you really want to see the spec sheet, then go visit the Indian Motorcycle website and beat one off over all those impressively large numbers. If like me you care more about how a bike actually rides, then stick around a little because this is what you really need to know. So let's get down to brass tacks. Would I trade in my 2014 Chief Vintage for a 2019 Indian Chieftain Limited or Dark Horse? Well, no. The simple reason for that is I'm never selling my 2014 Chief Vintage unless I really have to. I want to keep it forever. I never ever want to get rid of it. But this is probably about a 5 or a 6 on the Kim Kardashian scale. If you have a Chief Vintage and you want to do some serious touring, or you want a bit of more of an aggressive riding bike, I would seriously consider the 2019 Chieftain Limited or Dark Horse, because those ride modes are fantastic, and I've not even tried sport yet. The handling is brilliant. It's really light, really light. You can really chuck this bike around. Considering the weight, it actually weighs more than my Chief Vintage, but it feels a hell of a lot lighter. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. To say you're new to Indian Motorcycle and you're looking at which model to buy, well, of course we're not talking about Scouts here, because if you were, you'd be watching the Scout video. What we're talking about is the Thunderstroke bikes. So presumably you like the bigger motorcycle, you like the idea of doing a little bit of touring as well. But maybe if you're looking at the Chieftain Limited, you want to be looking for something with a bit of style, that's a bit of aggression with it, and something you can potentially ride pretty damn hard. And I would say the Chieftain Limited is the one to go for. What's being called the Chieftain Classic in the 2019 lineup is essentially a Roadmaster stripped back, so you have the standard size wheels out front, and it's not quite as manoeuvrable as the 19-inch that you get on the Chieftain Limited. It's still a very manoeuvrable bike, much more so than the cruisers in the Thunderstroke range. If I could afford to have this and my Chief Vintage, then I would, without a shadow of a doubt, I'd probably, if I'm honest with you, go for the Dark Horse version, because I like the idea of having a matte black bike. Or even, to be fair, that the bronze smoke looks pretty amazing too. I really do like the look of that bronze smoke machine. But I will not be getting rid of the Chief Vintage for one of these. If somebody fancied lending me one for a year, yes please, I would ride the pants off it. I would ride it everywhere. I would ditch my car and go to work on one of these. No problem. So this was my first riding impressions of the 2019 Chieftain Limited. As you see, 39 miles on the clock. That means I've done just over 30 miles on the ride today. So just enough to break the skin, but not enough to really get underneath the skin and see what the bike's really like to live with. Like I said, maybe, just maybe, I might get a chance to take this out again, or maybe someone will lend me one for a long-termer. Come on, Indian. And so we come to the end of my time with the Chieftain Limited. But did we answer my questions? Well, the only real thing that I found wrong with the bike was the screen, and that's something that can be easily changed. But is this the best bagger on the market? Well, I guess that depends on your perspective. If you're after a bike that shakes, rattles and rolls, then no, this isn't the best bike on the market. It doesn't shake and it doesn't rattle, but boy, can it roll. The handling is sublime and you can chuck this thing around like a Playboy bunny bouncing on a space hopper. But it's also a comfortable bike that will soak up mile after mile. So I suppose the answer to if this is the best bagger on the market really depends on what you want out of a bagger. And that's my first proper ride review on the Chieftain Limited, so now it's over to you folks. Have you ridden the Chieftain Limited? Maybe you own one. How do you feel about this bike? As always, let me know in the comments. Maybe you know someone who'd be interested in watching this video too. If so, please feel free to share the URL link anywhere you like. Email, social media, forums, anywhere. Remember, you can also find me on Instagram, just search Dazzle Rebel Rides and I'll be there somewhere. Also, please check out all the other channels from the Indian motorcycle world, as they all do a fantastic job. And of course, please remember that if you like to ride, be sure to subscribe to Dazzle Rebel Rides. Click that button and don't forget to turn notifications on too. I'll see you folks next week with a special list video, so be sure not to miss that. Bye for now.